So at this point, you should have a handle on how to graph basic exponential graphs if they haven't been moved around too much, just using that 2-point trick I showed you in the last video. Now sometimes though, you will have extra stuff going on with pluses and minuses here, and it makes things a tiny bit more confusing, but really it follows the same basic process and uses things you've learned before. So let's say we wanted to graph the exponential equation shown on the left side of the screen here. If we were to graph this, we would need to first figure out where our asymptote goes. I told you in a previous video that the asymptote always starts out, it's basically at y equals 0 unless something happens. If we were to move our graph left or right at all, so our exponential graph gets moved left or right, that tail is still tailing off at 0 right here. There's nothing really going on. The asymptote doesn't change places. It's still tailing off at 0. But if we move our graph up or down, our tail is going to move its location. It's going to level off at a different value. So I need to be able to look at my graph right here and figure out what number moves me up or down. And it turns out I'm going to go down 3 because there's a 3 on the outside here. This is going to move me left 1, but that doesn't matter for my tail. If I'm going to go down 3, I need to move my tail down 3 as well. My horizontal asymptote will now be right there. So my graph will level off either this way or this way along that asymptotes. Now, when I figure out my points, what I always do is ignore those numbers right there. Pretend this wasn't even there. Just pretend it said 2 times 4 to the x. My first point would have been 0, a. So it would have been at 0, 2. I'm going to jot that point down on the side here. And what I'm also going to do is I'm going to put like a little diagonal slash mark. This is my own made up symbol. I have never seen this in a textbook or anything like that. But I'm going to put like a little slash mark right there at 0, 2. Reminding me that's where the point would have been before it moves. My other point, again, still pretending this stuff wasn't here, would have been at 1, a times b, which would have been 1, 8 in this problem. So 1, 8 is getting to be a little bit high here. I'd probably go up into my work and stuff, but that's okay. 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that point would have been like right up there. Put like another little slash mark there. So if I was making a normal graph, 2 times 4 to the x, I would draw it like that. It would just kind of follow along there. However, those points are being moved. They are being moved left 1 and down 3. So each of these little slash marks that I put here is going to get moved left 1, down 3, because that's what my translation rules tell me to do on this one. So I could get a dot there. Left 1, down 3 for this point would put it right there. So now I can use my 2 red dots. Those are my actual points because I moved them like they were supposed to. The tail of my graph goes like this, and then I simply connect my points right here to get my new exponential equation. So the red graph right here is going to be what I'm looking at. My domain here is all real numbers, and my range is going to be y is greater than or equal to -3. Technically just greater than, but I wouldn't take off if you put or equal to. Let's do one more like that. So in my next example here, I'm going to draw myself a grid. And the first thing I need to do is figure out where my horizontal asymptote will end up. So this graph is going to get moved right 3, but again, right 3 I don't really care. That doesn't affect my asymptote at all. What will change it is this number right here going up 2. So I need to draw in myself an asymptote so I know where my graph tails off at, right here at 2. And I need to get my original point. So I'm going to pretend these numbers weren't even here. My point would have been 0, a. So I would have had a point at 0, 6. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm going to put like a little slash mark there, letting me know that's where my point used to be. And then I'm going to put a point at 1, a times b. That would be 1, 3. So 1, 3 would have been right there. But those points are being moved according to my translation rules. They're going to move right 3 up 2. So each of these points, this guy right here goes right 1, 2, 3, up 2. That point ends up right there. And my other one, right 1, 2, 3, up 2, ends up right there. So my grid's not all that big here. Let me see. I'll move my thing and I'll move it back. The tail is going to end up going this way, following along with the points. And then my graph itself is going to look something like this. That's not quite as steep as it probably should be, but due to my constraint space right here, it's at least an idea of what my graph's going to look like. As it goes along, it gets steeper there. My domain here is all real numbers, as it always is for exponentials, and my range is going to be y is greater than or equal to 2, or greater than 2. We haven't seen any examples where the graph comes over and it's like going downwards. That'll happen, like where the tail is going this way. That'll happen if you have a negative out front, and we'll see that in class. We'll practice some examples with that.